Welcome to Inspire and Move, the show that inspires you to create, connect, and grow. I'm going to bring you meaningful conversations, aha moments, and all the motivation you need to up-level every part of your life. I'm Ali Aruda, founder of Inspire and Move, and your personal hype girl. I've gone from fashion school to celebrity stylist to corporate marketing to brick-and-mortar entrepreneurship with my husband, each time learning incredible lessons how to pivot, reimagine, and implement the steps to become successful. I'm passionate about inspiring others to live their best life, a life of joy. We have the power to design a life that we love, because life is too short not to. The best part is that you weren't meant to do this alone. If you feel like you are meant for more, let me ride shotgun with you, and together, let's get you to where you want to go. Amen to that, and I think that's such a great approach that women probably need to hear that more frequently, whether it is, more conversations like this
Mhm.
or books, coaches, things that can just reiterate that message, because it's almost like
Yeah.
we need to consistently have that permission to be like, right,
Mhm.
okay, this feels good, this does not, want to respect and love myself, and go back to one of the
Yeah.
words that you've shared a few times on this conversation, like compassion for
Yes.
yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, you get to respect yourself as much as you respect these others. As much as you respect
Yeah.
others, you have to have respect for yourself. And so if it starts to feel bad, then you need to tap into like, okay, this is starting to feel bad because what is the reason? Maybe you value the friendship and you don't want to go, or maybe you think something is up and she's not sharing, or whatever it is. It is, just be honest with yourself about it and then maybe approach her about it, but it depends on the situation, I would say. But we've all gone through these seasons where you just don't have the energy. But when you come out on the back end and the people are still there to support you, it feels very loving and like a warm hug. But you know,
Mm. All right, I want to chat about prevention, because I think that
yes.
is, also very timely, being in the world that we live in, where there is so much conversation around
Hmm.
setting ourselves up for longevity, and even like the impact of peptides in our wellness routine, like
Yes.
all these things. And burnout, I think, still like having the conversation more consistently, but how can we
Yes.
prevent that so we don't have to have, the quote unquote negative side of the conversation of what burnout is and how to fix it? How can we avoid it altogether and just show ourselves the love and care and compassion to prevent this experience?
Yes, I agree. Prevention is key. And so I always like to start with saying that burnout is not a personal failure. Like if you think that you're burnt out means you did something wrong, you're not going to really recover because you're still going to have the wrong mindset, right? Burnout is because you're working in a system. This entire system, okay, I'll get into it, but this entire system is built on capitalism and the patriarchy. It's not really meant for women. So women are going to burn out usually more because they're going to have a job or whatever titles and roles that they have, and they're also going to have their third shift of being the primary caregiver. And there's plenty of research out there, you can look it up, but it's going to get to that point. So it's not a personal failure. It's just a matter of being aware. And so the first step in preventing something is being aware that it could be happening to you. So if you've ever been in that boat where you've said, I'm exhausted, and you took a weekend off and you're still exhausted, maybe you took a week off and you're still exhausted, then that's of the first sign. Like if you are sleeping and rest is not curing what ails you, then it's probably more than just exhaustion. It's probably burnout. There is, like I said, the physical component, which, sleep and movement both can help with, but there's also the emotional and psychological components of that inner critic saying you failed or you're just not up to snuff, and then the emotional part of just being depleted and drained and not able to tap in with yourself and connect with yourself, and then also not deeply connect with others. um,
Mm.
so when you start to notice those things, you're just like, huh, something is off here. But I always to say the cure for burnout is not more rest, it's actually engagement with yourself and with others. And so that's the part where you have to tap in with yourself, and then you have to kind of figure out what you need and what's best for you. And it might start out with rest, but it might start out with talking to that one good friend who maybe you've been neglecting, but because you've been embarrassed to say what's going on, or you've been embarrassed to become honest with how you're feeling in your life. But engagement is really the cure, and awareness is how you prevent that. So as soon as you start to feel a little bit off, you have to kind of like, what do I usually do, or who can I talk to that will bring me like that joy, that spark that reminds me of who I am. And like for one of my friends, it was dancing. Like she was a dancer and then she went to school and got a career and she's like, I haven't danced in years. And so she's like, I just started taking a dance class again. And so she's like, I thought I needed to sleep more. Like you didn't need to sleep more. You needed to get back in tune with yourself and you enjoy dancing. Walk your dog, do a puzzle, bake. It just takes 5 minutes. And so I always just say to start with 5 minutes a day and just think about how you're feeling and what would make you feel better or good or whatever. And then just do it, even if it's just for 2 minutes, even if it's just like putting the phone on D&D for 5 minutes will do you wonders. Then stepping outside, D&D and stepping outside, and then D&D and stepping outside and maybe asking a friend to join you. And like it just kind of builds upon itself.
One thing that I've loved sharing with some of my coaching clients in the past
Mhm.
is building a joy list. And
Yes.
that's something, and I don't know if this feels relatable for you as well and how
Mhm.
you coach your clients, but I think a joy list, which you can, call it whatever you like, but coming
Yeah.
back to something, and hey, don't get me wrong, a joy list could be like going to Turks and Caicos, but it could also be
Mhm.
buying like a new $10 candle. So we like to have
Yes.
options.
A variety, yes.
Variety of like investments, and maybe some things like going for a walk is free,
Mhm.
but things that people can come back to if they're experiencing stressful days, stressful
Mhm.
times. And whether it is, I think solo time, I don't know about you, but like I grew up as an only child. So I'm actually really comfortable spending time by
Mhm.
myself. And I was just, again, talking about this at this mastermind we were at last week, how my husband and I are like, we're very close. We are in business together. We both work at
Mhm.
home or at our gym. We host a mastermind, coach together, podcast together. Like we do a lot together.
Yeah.
And I was saying this to some of my peers, and my husband was in the conversation, how I actually think it might be really powerful for us to integrate some more solo time, to go
Mhm.
back to like when we first started dating. We both did very different things before becoming entrepreneurs, and
Yes.
having that, curiosity about your day. And I think that's one piece of it, but also the piece of that self-love and connecting with yourself to, thrive in your work day, but then
Yes.
also like, oh, I'm actually just going to go for a solo walk and
Mhm.
think.
I love that you said that. I do love the joy list, and yeah, it could be as short as like a 5 minute walk or just listening to some music. I also enjoy solo time. I'm very comfortable being alone. I'm not an only child, but I don't know if it's I'm a Capricorn and I'm an 8 and like I'm just independent. Like I don't know. But my husband knows I like to have like an hour a day of like just alone time. But I love what you said because I always talk about this curiosity. Like you
Mm,
have to get curious about yourself because the last time that you were curious about yourself, you were a child. And then you said, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be this. And then you went and did it. And then you stopped being curious. And so that's the part where you tap back in, like, be curious. What could make today better? Or what was already great about today? Like, it could be a lot of different questions you ask yourself, but just one question a day about your own self. You have to know yourself better than anybody else because nobody can. It
mm,
has to be you, and that's how you kind of put yourself or reset yourself on the path, right? Like instead of putting all of your energy and time into these things or these titles or these roles, you can divert some of it into yourself, and that's how you become engaged and you overcome your burnout.
mm. Oh my gosh, no, I love that, and I love what you said about curiosity. We haven't had
Hmm.
that since we were a child, and I think also living in this age that we do with, well, AI for sure. That
Yeah.
now we don't know something, so you can easily open Chat GPT and be like, what
Yeah.
does this mean? Or translate this for me. Like we don't have to work as hard to
Hmm.
investigate something
Right.
and ask those questions and be curious. So when it comes to understanding, human emotions, same thing. I'm sure there's lots of people that are like, I'm feeling anxious. ChatGPT, like, what does this mean? What should I
Yes.
do? Versus thinking, you know what? A 15-minute walk outside and like staring at the sun for some vitamin D will probably make me feel even just 1% better.
A little bit. And that's the thing I like, the 1%. It's just 1% better every day. The all or nothing thinking is so detrimental. And you're right, like the feelings. So I'm not gonna, downplay anxiety, but like when I first start showing people the feelings wheel, they're just like, what? There's so many different feelings because we are so honed in on only a few, right? Like I'm upset, I'm annoyed, I'm angry, I'm happy, and I'm anxious or I'm sad. And so that's only like one happy feeling. And I'm like, you don't have to always be happy. Sometimes just being content is enough. Like, oh, this day was smooth. I am content. So it's just a variety. And I do think that like when you start like seeing those things, like look at this feelings wheel, go outside, just tap into how you're actually feeling. Um, and just be curious about how you think you could make yourself feel better. And if not, you don't have to always make yourself feel better, but just why do I feel not well? Like, they say we are in such a rush to move through the emotion or past the emotion, but sometimes you have to just sit with it because it will lead you somewhere. And that's what I had to do when I was burnt out. And I'm just like, why do I have so much dread? Why do I have so much anger and irritability? Why? And then I was like, oh, it's like this job is not aligned with how I want to live my life. And then it's like, so how do I want to live my life? Because I can't just jump from a job to job. I've already done that, right? I went from job to job to job, and they all left me in the same spot because I didn't think about how I wanted to live my life. I just assumed that changing the job would fix everything. And it doesn't. You have to change the decisions you make around things. So some jobs you can change your decisions and the job will be fine. Some jobs are just toxic and you have to leave. But at least when you're leaving, and finding something new or building something new, you know how to structure it so you just don't burn yourself out again. Because we all know that so many entrepreneurs leave a toxic job, become an entrepreneur just to end up burned out again because they knew they wanted to release some parts of like, maybe management or whatever, but they didn't build in the structure to take time off and say no. And you need that structure as well.
Oh my gosh. You said a few things here that have struck some inspiration. And I mean, one
Hmm.
thing is just really coming down to being really intentional of designing a life that you want to live and you enjoy living. And,
Hmm.
not saying that every day is going to be perfect. By no means is that true at all,
Right.
at least from my experience. But that kind of, tease up what I wanted to say as well about almost having this ability to have a duality of emotions where
Hmm.
you could feel, and I'm speaking from my own experience, that
Hmm.
I have been in some of my like rock bottom moments in a deep state of grief, but yet somehow I can feel immense gratitude for perhaps something small, and
Yes.
feeling also proud that like, wow, good for me. I feel like my life is like a dumpster fire right now, or that my heart is
Hmm.
like a dumpster fire,
Yeah.
imploding with these sad grieving emotions, but I feel so grateful for like the love that I get from my dogs, or
Yeah.
whatever it may be. And perhaps it's even, again, coming back to that permission piece that we've sort of touched on a few times, is that we can have that. We can
Hmm.
experience, if it is dread, but oh my gosh, look at the partner that I chose in life. And
Yeah.
that's who I get to do life with. And I still got to tackle these emotions over here. So I don't know if this is something even that you've experienced yourself personally, but even with clients.
Hmm. Yeah, we experience that a lot. I think, and I that's why I get into the ruminations and the all or nothing thinking. Because when you ruminate about the negative, that's what kind of gives you like that overwhelming negative emotion. And if you can just pause the rumination for a second and say, nothing is ever going to be all perfect, right? So, but even on the worst days, there's still something. And can we find that? And that does start to help bring you up energetically and kind of just help you reshift your mindset. The inner critic is so loud, the negativity
Mm,
is so loud. The wiring for survival is so loud that you just have to always notice the negative stuff so that you can prepare. But sometimes you have to just sit down and be like, well, today went to the dumpster fire, but my dog is so adorable and that is enough. Or like your niece will call you or your kid will make you a picture. Because then when you forget about those things, that's
mm,
when you start to become more numb. You just become numb. And we have to just stop that?
mm. Okay, well, staying on the prevention train, what
Yes.
are, from your expert opinion and experience, what are like one to two, one to three things that someone could maybe implement on a daily routine to
Yeah.
avoid the simmer phase, to avoid burnout?
Yes. I mean, the number one thing I would say, like, is back to your curiosity thing, is like take at least one moment a day to just tap in with yourself. It could be at the beginning of the day, the middle of the day, the end of the day. It could be on your car ride home. You know, whenever you feel like it would be best behoove you. You know, for me, I started doing it in the morning because I found that doing it in the morning kind of shifted my mind for the whole day. But it's like, how do I want to feel today? You know, that's the question I ask myself. Like, how do I want to feel today? And so, if I wake up and I'm already tired because I didn't sleep well, then I say like, I want to, you know, be kind to myself today because I know I'm tired. Or if I wake up feeling energized, I'm like, I feel like a rock star today, and I want to just feel accomplished or whatever it is. But on the back end, it could be the end of the day, and you can just say, how was today? What was the best thing about today? You know, what would I have changed for the day? But how would I have changed it, right? Because we can say, oh, I would have changed all these things and would have made the day so much better. But how would you have changed it? And, you know, maybe something that came out of that shifted everything, right? You know, like something bad happens and you don't like it in the moment, but then you realize months down the line that it shifted everything, right? So my job was terrible. They lied to me and they manipulated me and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, woe is me. They had me move across the country for this terrible job. But I was telling you earlier, like, honestly, I don't know that all of this would have happened if I didn't have this job and move here, because to some extent I was more comfortable where I was, right? So I wouldn't have been pushed to the edge of my comfort zone, and I wouldn't have been forced to kind of make some changes. And so in that negativity, and even though that was the worst year of my life, I can look back now and be like, wow, it sucks that I had to get to that point, but it got me here. And so like you said, it's just this practice of gratitude. It's something you have to practice, but it does shift a lot of that negative thinking, and it does offer, you know, more compassion for others and yourself when you practice that.
It's so interesting how, and I was just having this conversation with friends last week, how
Hmm.
it is fascinating how some of life's worst moments
Hmm.
or most challenging moments, I think those are two very different experiences,
Yes.
can be such powerful teachers for bigger opportunities. Whether
Yeah.
it's something like yourself, like that you experienced the worst year of your life and this extreme burnout, but now you're in this purposeful role of helping others not
Hmm.
experience this or recover from it,
Right.
talking, about the prevention piece, and that it can be this powerful story and teaching tool. And sometimes it's really hard to see, someone
Oh,
probably
yeah.
would, if they came to knock on your door at, month 9 of your worst year ever, you might be like, buzz off. This is not applicable right now. Thanks.
Yeah.
But now you could probably see it from such a different lens.
Yeah, and that's the part where it's a journey, right? And that's why it's like it's a journey. It's a recovery process. It's not a weekend, it's not a week. You know, I've had women take 3 to 6 months sabbaticals and still not recover because so much has happened that, like I told you also, like it's mental, it's physical, it's emotional, then it's neurological, like you have adrenaline and cortisol and all these hormones, and all of this stuff is happening. So it does take some time for your body and mind to rewire itself. And so when you're rewiring, like you're kind of rebuilding. So you want to rebuild it how you want it and not go back to those same ways. You're not going to keep building the same house that keeps falling down. You're going to try to fortify it and build it back stronger. And so that's just what I think all of life is, though, right? We're making choices every day, we're learning from them, and then we're trying to come back a little bit stronger and a little bit better. But just that 1% every time is
Mm.
going to exponentially improve your life.
Oh, I love the 1% better every day. Like I think of that
Yeah.
often, like being in the fitness industry and a gym
Yes.
owner. Like I use that a lot, and I do believe that if you can just strive for that, that is a great goal.
Yes, it's amazing, and it's kind of in I think we're so focused on, like, social media or just results or just hyperachieving. It's like, how come it's not happening? Well, like, you know, my Pilates journey has now been going on 4 years now, and it's just, like, amazing to me. Like, I was just so down on myself that even just recently, being a trainer and going to classes, and I'm like, "Oh, I can't do that yet." And my instructor was like, "Girl, do you remember where you were, like, even
Yeah.
just earlier this year?" And I was like, "No." And then I had to go look at the video, and I was like, "Oh my gosh." I looked at the video, and I'm like, "Wow." Like, it's easy to lose sight, and I think, oh, it was a book. I forgot what the book was, but it's like, it's easy to always move the goalpost and look forward and forget to look back at the starting line. And so I always try to remind people, like, but where did you start? Because I had to even remind myself that just last week, and I saw the video because I wanted to block
Mhm.
it out of my mind. Like, no, no, I've just been doing this. I'm like, no, it's progress. It's every day. It's been months and years, and when you really look back, you'll see how far you've come and how much you've accomplished.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much, and I love when you go back and actually do spend the time to watch it, or let alone if you create content out of
Yeah.
it and share it. But I think people really like to see that. It's like transformation content and
Yeah.
those before and afters, but also like the journey to get there. Especially if it's messy. Like if it's
Yeah.
messy, woo, give it to me. I want to see everything.
Yes.
You said something about a client of yours doing a sabbatical.
Hmm.
And I don't know if that's something that, you went on or with clients that you work with, but have you seen people that have like gone on sabbaticals and taken that time away and come back and been able to, pour back into their work and feel this like spark reignite? Or do you feel like that spark is really like it's dimmed and then they move on to something else?
And so I personally took a sabbatical,
Okay.
and so that's why I speak from it. I wish it was more common and more like it used to be a thing, right? Like, oh, I'm just gonna go on sabbatical. Like it used to be a thing, and now it's not really. So basically, I was just gainfully unemployed. I call it. I'm like, I was happily unemployed for 3 months, and I should have taken 4 to 6 months, but um, I was at the point, this was my second burnout. So that was a great segue. So I was working at this job and the job was fine, but it was Monday through Friday every day. And I was like, this isn't going to work for me. I already knew that I wanted to work part time. I was already very grateful that I work in medicine and that I can do that as far as live and work part time. But I also knew that I wanted to kind of build some time out for this entrepreneurship and to help women because at this point it had been another 2.5 to 3 years since that first burnout. And now I'm working full time still, but not nights and weekends, and starting to feel myself get antsy. I'm getting a little bit irritable, a little bit more annoyed, a little bit more short tempered, a little bit more kind of numb, and a little like dismissive, I would say. And I didn't like that in myself. And so when I'm like, what's happening with me? How come like and I tell people all the time, this job's not bad. This is actually a job that many people would be like, that's the dream job. Why are you leaving? And it's not my dream job. It's not aligned with what I want to do. I now know that I want to spend time for this and I have to make the time for this, right? If I want to spend time sharing my story and coaching women, I have to build that time out. And so I was burning out because I was spending not as much time necessarily, but I was spending all of my energy in doing this one thing, and I knew that that's not where I needed to be spending my energy. I only had the capacity to spend half my energy there and the
Mm.
other half doing this. And so that's when I decided that I had to leave that job. I asked them if I can go part-time. They said that that was not possible. I said, "Okay, well, I will find it." They told me you'll never find it, and I said, "Okay, well, we'll bet money on that." And I found a part-time job. And so I do think like some things are just meant to be. And I was like, I knew I meant to work part-time. I knew I meant to spend part of my time and like my full time and energy helping women, not just my extra energy from after work or my weekend energy. And so I like to say like burnout is not always a time thing. It could be where are you spending a lot of energy where you don't want to, or you should be spending less, So it's a lot. It's a very intricate process to find out what particular role, title, or area a woman is burning out in. And I will say this, a lot of my women who are mothers think that it's work that's burning them out, but it's actually their home life. I think it's easier to blame work or it's more acceptable to blame work, but it's not their work that's making them tired, drained, and feeling all these things. It's grocery shopping, laundry, cleaning the house, keeping up with all of those other things. And I'm like, oh, girl, I don't have a kid and I don't do any of those things. So use that as permission to outsource as much as possible and gain back that time and energy.
Mm. Oh my gosh, I was just having this conversation with someone at the mastermind also. And again, don't have children, but I
Mhm,
could appreciate, I have lots of friends that do. And I
mhm.
could imagine that it probably maybe ties in like an element of guilt where we wouldn't even want to identify with that emotion. So of course it would be
Yeah.
easier to blame work, probably especially if you work in corporate, then if
Yes.
you're an entrepreneur, and then like third would be to identify the family emotions or overwhelm and that
Yeah.
burnout feeling.
So I'm like, I don't have kids. I don't clean my house. I don't grocery shop. I don't do any. The only I hate cooking. I only cook to eat because I have to eat to live. Like I don't
Yeah.
enjoy any of that at all. So take that with a grain of salt. But as a person who doesn't have extra people and worries, I don't do it. So if you have the ability to outsource it, do it, is what I always say, and see how you start to feel. And so it's always just these little things, and then with us being geriatric millennials, we're in that special position, right? Where we're now in our 40s. And so some of us are taking care of our parents and our children. And that is especially taxing. Um, so it's just a lot that women in this age group are facing. And I'm like, there's a lot you're going through. So to feel like you can't handle it is like unreasonable, because this is too much, actually. You're actually handling too much. You're actually handling too much.
Well, I think there's now like there's lots of tools that we can lean on,
Hmm.
and just knowing that that is totally okay. Like use
Yeah.
those tools. I've said this to my husband for so many years. It's like I wish that everyone could have access to a therapist. Like I think
Yeah.
everybody would be a better human if everyone could have a
Mhm.
therapist.
Yes, I love therapy. I always promote therapy. I was like, I've had my therapist for years, and I've had whatever you would call a normal, you know, um, upper middle class upbringing in a two-parent household. I have all of the normal things, and I'm like, I still have issues. I still need a therapist. Okay. So there's no normal. Everybody needs someone who they can talk to in a non-biased, non-judgmental way, and just get your feelings and emotions out there.
Oh yeah, I'm like don't we all have issues? I'm sure we all have
Yes, we
issues.
all have issues.
We all
Everybody,
have
even the
issues.
therapists have therapists, okay? The
Yeah,
doctors have doctors, the therapists have therapists. I have a therapist and a coach and a trainer. Like, oh, like I got all of it. I need help with
I
all
love
of the
that.
things.
You got
Yeah.
a whole team.
Oh, it requires I do not believe that you can be done alone. It can't be done alone. Um, it just can't be done alone. Like not in a good way anyway. So yes, I have a whole team of support, and I feel better than I've ever felt because I have support. I tell my trainer, I really want to work on this. And, I'm a doctor, but I don't know all of the things. And if I wanted to learn it, I could learn it. But I didn't go to physical therapy school or personal training program. I didn't do all of that. So if I'm like, I have bad balance, my knee hurts, and I really want to strengthen my core, then they're the person I'm going to go to. And then they're going to tell me what to do. And I'm going to go to my therapist and talk about whatever I need to talk about. And they're going to help me in that capacity. I'm going to go to my coach and say, hey, like, I don't want to share this story on Instagram because I'm afraid people will make fun of me. And then she's going to be like, okay, and then what? Like she's going
Yeah.
to hold me accountable for whatever it is I'm feeling blocked in my business. So I think I just like to say that because I'm like, I didn't do this alone. I didn't recover from burnout alone. I'm not supporting women alone. And so don't think you have to do anything in your life alone. And if you feel alone, that's what we're here for. We're here for you.
Oh, I love that. Okay, well, that's like I can't. No notes on that because that was so well said. I've always been such a big advocate, especially in my last few years of really,
Mhm.
I'd say like jumping on the bandwagon of up leveling to a different version of myself and our business. I'm
Yeah.
a big advocate of outsourcing, and it's one thing to outsource what you're not good at, but also where you need support, like mentally and emotionally,
Yeah.
beyond just growing your business to allow you to create more time and space for the things that bring you joy, but also so that you can grow in different elements.
Yes.
So, if people want to work with you, how can they work with you? Where can they find you? Give us the scoop.
Yes, I do take coaching clients. I have a website, www.sheisfireforged.com, and I'm on all the social platforms at She is Fireforged. I have email, hello@sheisfireforged.com. I guess I'm a geriatric millennial because I love email. I'm like obsessed with email, but I do love socials. So that's where I'm cuspy. I'm like, oh, I do like socials, but it took me a very long time to hop on the video content, like,
Mm.
but here we are. So I'm across all the platforms on the website. Just reach out. Um, Let me know you heard me on the podcast. Share your story. Figure out how I can help you in any way.
Oh, I love that. Well, we're going to make sure we have everything linked in the show notes so people can
Yes.
find you, follow you, engage with you, work with you. Are you taking new
Yes.
clients right now?
I am taking new clients right now, and I do have some free resources. When you go to the website, www.sheisfireforge.com/free, I do have an exhaustion quiz that will take you through some questions and answer the best type of rest for you, because there is 7 types of rest, and that taps into the spiritual, emotional, mental, physical, creative, and social aspects of rest. So it's not just sleeping; it's like all the other things that I mentioned earlier. And I do have a burnout checklist where I have identified some things that might resonate. And if you, identify a few of them, then you might be on the spectrum towards burning out, just so you know, and so you can stay aware, right? Like maybe you should revisit it every 6 months, or if things start feeling iffy, revisit the checklist and see how you're feeling.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Those are great resources, and I feel like they can just be so helpful. So I hope everyone listening, watching takes advantage of those. And again, we'll have
Mhm.
everything linked in the show notes. I've really enjoyed our conversation
I
together.
did. I could talk to you for all
I
day.
know.
Let's just
I
keep
need to come
talking.
visit you in Vegas, and we can do Pilates
Yes.
together. It's a good place.
Yes, let's do it. Oh, I'm so down. Let's do
And then we
it.
can have like a delicious, tea or something mindful and
Oh,
chat about
yes.
all of the things. I really loved this conversation and thank you
Hmm.
for providing so much value and pouring into my community, everyone listening and watching about something that I don't think is talked enough about and
Hmm.
also so important.
Yes, very important. More people are burning out than they know, and so we just have to let them know, and we can do something about it. But thank you
And who
for
better
having this
than
platform,
oh,
sharing these stories and doing what you do. It's very necessary. And so I'm just happy to be here and being able to contribute.
oh my gosh, it was my pleasure having you. Come back again soon and I can't wait
Yes.
to catch up and spend some quality time together in person.
All right. Yay.
Thank you, everyone, for listening, watching. I hope you loved today's episode. And if it resonated with you, and maybe even with a friend that you thought of when you were listening to this conversation, please share it with them. Share it on social, tag us. We would love to reshare it. And if you really want to be that overachiever energy and leave a 5-star rating and review, I would be so grateful because that is really how shows like this grow. And I
Mhm.
am so grateful for all of you. Thank you so much. Until next time, we will see you again soon. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. If you loved this episode, it would mean so much to me if you took a few seconds and shared this on social media, sent it to a friend, or left a 5-star review. There is power in community, and I'm so grateful to have you part of mine.